Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steve, and today we're going to try to install an LR Baggs Element pickup into this acoustic guitar. So let's get going. Okay, let me just say up front, I have never done this before. I have never installed one of these pickups into an acoustic guitar. So if you've done this a lot, have some grace in the comments. I'm sure I'm going to do some things in this video that make you cringe. But I figure, how hard can it be? It's a very simple pickup. It just has the element that goes under the bridge. There are more complex acoustic pickups that have microphones and things like that. This is a very straightforward job. I'm excited about it. I'm a little nervous. So the guitar I'm installing this on is a no-name brand, inexpensive import guitar. It's not a real expensive guitar I'm worried about messing up. However, it is going to be the guitar my wife uses as a backup for her acoustic gigs. I want to try to make it sound and play as good as I can. So the pickup that I chose for this is the same pickup that I have in my McPherson Sable carbon fiber guitar. It's the LR Baggs Element pickup. Sounds really good. The main difference is this pickup is the Element VTC. It has a volume and a tone knob. My McPherson only has the volume knob. This is a slightly more expensive pickup, although I did get it used off Reverb. I think with tax and shipping, it was around $100. And because I bought it used, I had to improvise on some of the things in terms of the installation, and we'll get into that. So with all that said, let's jump in and start the process. Okay, so the first step is to remove all the strings. If you notice here, I'm using the Ernie ball power peg string winder. If you don't have one of these, it is so worth $20. It's one of the best guitar tools I own. I just love it. Okay, here's the actual pickup itself. That barrel is going to mount into the guitar, and that's the strap pin on the end. You can see there that wire is the element that's going to go under the saddle and the bridge. That's actually what's going to pick up the vibrations. You can see the volume and the tone control that's going to mount right inside the sound hole. And of course, this is an active pickup, so we'll be mounting a 9-volt battery to it as well to power it. So the next step is we're going to remove the strap button from the side of the guitar. And then we're going to need to drill a hole large enough for the barrel of the pickup to fit through. So if I get my calipers, you can see we are just inside of 1/2 inch. So the hole needs to be roughly 1/2 inch. I'd like to make sure it's in there pretty tight. We're going to do this through a combination of a wood reamer and then larger and larger size drill bits. So first we'll start with the drill bit. It's pretty small. And then we're going to switch over to the reamer. So I've never used a reamer before. This is my first time. I bought this one off Amazon for I think $5. I can put a link in the description. But what this reamer is going to allow you to do is start to open up that hole and protect the finish on the outside of the guitar. If you just tried to take a larger drill bit and go into a smaller hole, it could chip or flake that exterior clear coat on the guitar and it wouldn't look good. So the reamer is very sharp and it starts to open that up, and we can alternate with different size drill bits, work our way up to that 1/2 inch. Another thing to note, you can see in this picture of the inside of the guitar, there's a block of wood in there for strength. And this is, keep in mind, this is where the strap pin holds the guitar. So that block of wood, we need to go all the way through that with a 1/2 inch hole in order to fit the barrel of the pickup through that. Again, it's a very time-consuming process. Take your time. It just takes some patience. As you can see, I fast-forwarded here to the end when we're almost all the way through with the reamer tool. Starting to check, and yep, the barrel, at least on the very end there, is starting to fit. So now we'll just go a little bit further. take your time, especially at the end. You want to make sure that you don't do anything to damage the guitar. And then finally, we'll get to the point where I'm using my 1/2" bit and the barrel is just going to fit nicely in there. You can see. Next, we just need to drill a quick hole for the pickup element to come up through the guitar and lay underneath the saddle. You can see here is the pickup. I just want to show you the order of things here. So we have a nut, and we have a larger washer, and then we have a locking washer. These are all on the inside of the guitar. Then we have another washer and a nut, and these are on the exterior of the guitar. And finally, that strap pin cover is going to go over. And that's how it all assembles. Okay, so you can see I've got the pickup through the hole now, and I'm just putting on the washer and nut on the exterior. You're going to go ahead and get this on, get it finger tight, and then I'm just going to use a nut driver to really tighten it up. Once that's good and tight, we're just going to put on the strap pin cover there. And you can see we'll do a quick check, make sure the 1/4" jack goes in there fine, which it does. And you can see I'm pulling up the element for the pickup. We're going to lay it down there and cover it with the saddle. And then I'm going to use some painter's tape just to hold that in place. Next, I'll pull out the wires. Again, we have the wire for the 9-volt battery and then the controller for the volume and tone. See, I mounted a 9-volt there. And what we're going to be able to do now is just plug this in and check and make sure it works. So we'll turn up the volume. And then I'm just going to take a screwdriver and tap on the saddle. And we'll hear that it is actually working. Okay, here you can see the volume and tone control that I've mounted to the guitar. It's at the top of the sound hole, right inside. This is one area where I had to get creative because I bought this used. So I'm pretty sure if you buy this new, it will come with double-sided tape. I had to supply my own double-sided tape, but mounted this to the upper portion of the sound hole. Same thing goes for the battery. I think when you buy this new, it comes with a battery pouch. This did not come with a battery pouch, so I just took double-sided tape, stuck it to the side of the battery, and mounted it inside the guitar. And I also used a few of these clips that have adhesive back on them to route the wires inside the guitar. So we're going to be putting on Elixir 11s, which is what my wife likes. I tend to use 12s or 13s. You can see here I'm doing some lemon oil to the fretboard, something I like to do to moisturize the wood prior to putting new strings on. So I'm going to get all the strings mounted into the bridge first, and then I'll put them through the tuners and get them all tightened up. Again, the Ernie ball power peg, great device. I remember hating to change strings when I was younger because I always had to do it by hand, and then eventually they came out with those manual peg winders. But man, this is just a great device. Speeds things along. I do find that if you buy inexpensive guitars, a lot of import guitars, they don't come with very good strings. So you're already not paying a lot for the guitar. So having good strings really does make a big difference in the guitar. Okay, one thing I did not get on video that I wanted to at least mention was the work I did on the saddle. So as you recall, the pickup element that lays underneath the saddle goes on top of it. It's obviously going to raise the height of the saddle, which in turn raises the height of your strings or your string action. So you have to take that saddle off and you have to sand it down, the bottom of it, you have to sand it down to get it to the desirable height. So how I went about doing this was I basically loosened up all my strings. I did not take them off. I loosened them up. I capoed the 5th fret, and then I was able to take the bridge pins out, get the saddle out. I took it to a table where I had a piece of sandpaper. It was a flat table, and I just ran back and forth that saddle to basically shave down the bottom of that. I ended up doing that about 3 times where I put it back in the guitar, took it back out, took some more off the bottom. Because if you take too much off, you've taken too much off. But I wanted to make sure that I got the height I wanted without getting fret buzz. I think the rule of thumb for acoustic guitars is 0.1 inches at the 12th fret on the low E string, and then slightly less than that on the high E string. So that's where I set it at. It actually has pretty good action at this point. So I'd like to end this video with a quick soundbite of me playing the guitar. Okay, so here's the guitar running through my Line 6 Helix into my DAW. So one thing to note here, I mentioned it has a volume and a tone control. The tone control has a detent halfway up. So this right now is in the middle of the tone control. If I go all the way bright, then we'll go back to the detent. And then I'll go all the way to the low end of the tone. So you can hear just that ability to play with the tone, I think, is a nice feature that they've added to this VTC model of the Element pickup. So we're back in the middle detent right now. All right, so that's it. The guitar sounds good. It plays good. The action is good now. So I'm glad that this all worked out. I was a little bit nervous in the beginning, but seems like this is another project in the books. So if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. We'd love to have you be a part of what we're doing here. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.